YouTube channel, and I'm going to do a hot air balloon. So that's kind of like a U, and you can bring it in a little bit more. So what you do is you have your U, and then you can bring it in a little bit more. So this is the foreground, and in the foreground it's bigger. This is the middle ground, it gets smaller. And this could be the background, and it gets even smaller. And that gives you this illusion, right, that it's going back into space. You can have another one here. It's just a turn line. This can get overlapped. You can put another one here. Yeah. All right, great. So what you can do next is just a rectangle at the end of each one according to its size, right? So you don't want a huge rectangle with... Now this one is closer, so you're going to get to see what's happening. So this would round off, this would come in, and then you have the rectangle kind of really coming out from off the page too, if I wanted to. I think so. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one color of an oil pastel, and I'm going to outline it. Now you don't have to do this, but I'm going to be using watercolors, and with watercolors this can help resist the watercolor, so the watercolor won't go everywhere, but again, this is a choice. It is, I can also do some turned lines like this and make some mountains, and that can also help give a sense of how high up everything is. I'm going to go ahead and erase. I'm going to do wet and wet, so I'm going to get a lot of water, and I'm just going to load it in the middle. Lots of water right in the middle. And then once I have it in the middle, I'm going to start with the biggest one first. I can choose colors. So this is what's called intermediate colors. When a blue next to, say, a green, two colors next to each other on the color wheel, mix. So it's no longer just blue or just green. It's kind of a blue-green, and I'm going to let them mix on their own. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a stroke of the green next to this, and it's spreading. So I'm going to dry my brush, and I'm going to get closer at the end, and I'm going to slowly outline it so the water will move. And what happens if you do what I'm doing, which is you fiddle with it a lot, it will no longer look like that tie-dyed kind of cool look. It will just become one solid color, which you can keep, or what you can do is then go back in and add, either let it dry or just keep going. Everyone, and each time you do this, it's a little bit of a different experience. So that's an intermediate color there. Let's make sure my brush no longer has extra color on it. And I'll keep an eye on it, because that's really kind of what watercolor is about. So it has still a little bit of green in it. So let's do another intermediate color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take green, and I'm going to touch it. Ooh, I love that. It's so beautiful, isn't it? And I put a lot of water on it. Now I'm going to take yellow. This yellow is a little dirty, but that's okay. And I'm going to touch where the paper's white. Do you see that? So it will merge on its own. Then I'm going to clean my brush, and again I'm going to get really close, and then I'm going to outline it. So I'm going to move the water to the edge just like that, and see what happens. I'm going to let it do its thing. I maybe add a little bit more yellow right here where it's white, and white there, and a little bit here because it's just green. And this is, there's no color here, so I'll put a little green there and let it do its thing. So let's clean my brush, and let's add a lot of water in the center first. Just keeps a little bit more control. And then I'm going to do my blue. And what is it next to? It's next to purple. So I'm going to twirl my brush, get it wet. And yeah, since this one's smaller, it's a lot faster. So I'm going to take it, make sure there's no water on your brush. And I'm resting my hand and I'm just going to draw with my brush to the edge of my oil pastels. And the oil pastel should help resist, which means it should kind of stop the water. I like this one. I think it looks great. I'm going to start off with a blob of water, and then I'm going to add yellow, a lot of yellow, more yellow. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to have green on it. I'm going to go close, and then I'm going to just outline with green. And again, let it do its thing. So I'm going to add a little bit more yellow here, maybe there with the water. So I'm just going to let it travel up, just barely touch it, the paper towel. So as I said, you sometimes kind of have to watch your watercolors and see what they do, because it will change as it goes. Wonderful. All right, let's keep going with my cool color. Okay, so let me go ahead and do the landscape, watching everything. And as I just said, it gets cooler, so I'm going to take blue and I'm going to go along here. I'm going to outline around my mountain there, and then also here. So if you have enough color, you can spread it to the other side if you did that. Now I'm going to take green and I'm going to outline along here. I didn't take a lot of green. The trick with watercolor is that the less color you use, the lighter it is. That's the trick. It is not, oh, I can put it here because that's just like the string. Yeah, it's not like you're adding any white to this. And then I'm dragging this down, and this is called a gradation. I'm slowly bringing this down. And I think I'm just going to stick with some of these colors that I've been using instead of using brown for the basket. I think what I want to do is use purple. So I'm going to get closer up to the end of my brush and I'm going to draw purple. Now that's a little thick, but I think it looks kind of cool. Wonderful. So recheck everything and take my paper towel. If anything needs to be lifted up, just very carefully before I set it aside, and then reshape it so it's clean, and just pick up any extra water, just like that. Wonderful. Thanks for tuning in, liking, subscribing my YouTube channel. Take care.